And this is how the session is going to run. We'll get opening remarks from Mr. President, and because of his busy schedule, we'll take a family photo before we continue with the presentations. So as soon as Mr. President finishes his remarks, we'll invite him to the center of the stage, and then together with our presenters and other distinguished guests for a family photo. That way, as we begin presentations, and if Mr. President is good to make his way out, we will have taken that very important photo that shows we were all together, Japan and Africa. And I believe we are all together, isn't it so? Let's give ourselves a round of applause for that. We are all together, Japan and Africa. And then the first 6 presentations will begin focusing on innovations in the health sector. Each speaker has timed their presentations to run for not more than 5 minutes. And then we'll have a response from our Vice President, Dr. Danford. We'll then move swiftly to the next group of presentations, focusing on energy and infrastructure. And again, with clean growth at the center of that. We'll get a reaction from Wale Shonibare, Director of Energy Financial Solutions, Policy and Regulation at the African Development Bank. That will be followed by a brief break before coming back to a roundtable discussion. And at that time, I will introduce the list of guests who will be taking part in that roundtable discussion. So ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished guests, it's my pleasure, and join me in welcoming to the stage the President of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Akiumi Adesina, to deliver his opening remarks. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you very much, Director Solomon. Your Excellencies, dear friends of Africa from Japan, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special session with Japan on boosting Africa's growth with Japan from startups to major companies. Now, first, let me start by thanking my own Executive Director from Japan, Mr. Takaaki Nomoto, Executive Director of Japan at the African Development Bank Group, and the bank's Asia office in Japan for organizing and facilitating this special session. Of course, I'm delighted there's such a huge delegation from Japan. I understand 80 people. So please, I would like the Japanese heavy delegation to please rise so we can see where you are. Please. Please, you can rise. We just want to, yeah? Thank you. Yes, give it up to them. Thank you. That's a long way to come. It shows faith and confidence and commitment to Africa. Arigato gozaimasu. Now, this event follows my trip that I made to Japan in April of this year, where I engaged with senior government officials, business leaders. They're all here, big corporations, entrepreneurs, and of course, investors, on opportunities in Africa and why Japan should expand business, private investments on the continent. And I received a number of the Japanese delegation just before this meeting. And I was telling them that I love Japan. I thought you would clap on that. Yes, I love Japan. And I was saying that, you know, when I was running for president of the African Development Bank in 2015, and I was running campaigns, you know, you got to stay close and tell people what you want to do. And we were going for the interviews at the Hotel Ivoire in Abidjan. And I was at the top of the hotel somewhere, and the elevators were going up and down. And I couldn't get myself down because the elevators were full. And there was only one elevator that opened, then I thought had maybe a space for just one person. And it was the elevator carrying the Japanese delegation. And of course, as soon as I saw it, I took advantage of that, and I walked right in, and I said, I am Japanese. And Mr. Asakawa, who is now the president of the Asian Development Bank, was then the governor of the bank. And later he would tell me that that was a very strategic elevator, and you took advantage of it. So I've always loved Japan since that time. While I was in Tokyo, so thank you. Welcome to you all. Thank you for heeding my clarion call when I came to visit you. Several large corporations are here today because while I was in Japan, I met with some of the largest corporations to encourage them to make greater levels of investment in Africa. And several of those large corporations are well-known brand names in Africa. Toyota Shusho, just to name a few. Investment in automobiles factories in South Africa generated $7.5 billion in revenue in 2022. Komatsu, the giant equipment company, generated revenue of $1 billion in 2020 in Africa. Mitsubishi Corporation and Hitachi have been investing in energy in Africa since the early 20th century. They all know Africa very well, and they have been keeping their promise to keep on investing in Africa, so they have kept on investing. Today, the successes of large Japanese companies are spurring a new generation of young, dynamic Japanese who are also turning their eyes to venture capital and private equity funds in Africa to support small and medium-sized enterprises. The number of Japanese companies in Africa increased from 520 in 2010 to 900 in 2020. In Ghana, you have the Degas Limited, a startup company established in 2018 that is supporting farmers with satellite data analytics. We have Keppel Africa Ventures, another startup that has raised $43 million and is investing along with the African private equity funds in 100 seed-stage startups in 11 African countries. They hope to reach a fund size of $100 million by 2023. The fund that's called the Uncovered Fund, founded in 2019, is another Japanese venture capital fund that has invested in 26 African startups. Now, the sum of all these testimonials, ladies and gentlemen, is that Africa is bankable, and the Japanese recognize that. Africa clearly needs more venture capital and private equity funds to tap into Africa's huge potential, and Japan is paying attention. The Association of Japanese Corporate Executives, Keizai Doyukai, and the two co-chairs are here with us today, is at the forefront of mobilizing and galvanizing investment interests from Japan to Africa. It is exciting that my friend, Mr. Ken Shibusawa, the Chief Executive Officer of Shibusawa, and I think it's an "and" company, that's actually the name of his company, "and" Company, Incorporated, has launched a $100 million private equity fund or impact fund for investments in Africa. Thank you, Ken. Japanese businesses see Africa as a good investment destination. I am always very excited about Africa, but as I always say, don't just believe my optimism, just believe the data. A 2020 survey of Japanese companies done by the Japan External Trade Organization, JETRO, found that 48% of Japanese businesses indicated interest in expanding their businesses in Africa. 45% would like to maintain the scale of their business operations in Africa. In addition, 46% see the African consumer market as promising, and many of you told me in private meetings just before this about the importance of the consumer market that you are looking at. And I think somebody told me that they were making $86 billion of revenue, and one of the Japanese companies, and I say, yeah, is that $86 billion in Africa? And he said, not yet. I say, okay, we can take 68. We can just transport it. We take 68, so please keep it coming. In addition, 43% indicated that they see infrastructure, natural resources, and energy as promising business investment areas. The government of Japan has been incredibly supportive of Africa. And the government is strongly supporting the growth of the private sector also in Africa. And this is clearly shown by the strong commitment of the Japan International Development Agency, JICA, which has provided a total of $5.8 billion towards the Enhanced Private Sector Assistance for Africa, which we call EPSA, in partnership, of course, with the African Development Bank. So through strong public and private partnerships, we look forward to much faster growth of private investment by Japanese companies in Africa. And long live the African-Japan investment partnerships. And I would just like you to rise up for 1 minute. If you just get up for 1 minute, don't worry. Just 1 minute or less. Yeah. Please hold, we have a tree in Africa that we call the baobab tree. The baobab tree is a very, very big tree, right? And if you try to put your hand around the baobab tree, it doesn't work because it's so big. And the issue of investing in Africa, where we need a lot of, several hundreds of billions of dollars for infrastructure, from energy to digital infrastructure to road transport to ports to rail to everything, water, sanitation, it's immense. And so you are all here. We're going to be around the Africa Baobab opportunity. So please make sure your hands are joined to somebody next to you. There's no COVID, so that's okay. Right? Or you can just, yeah, right. It's Japan-Africa partnership that we're doing here to transform Africa through private investment coming from a Japanese company. So just raise your hand up and say, let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you. Arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Let's give him a round of applause. Mr. President, President of the African Development Bank Group, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. Let me now invite all those who are presenting to join the President for a family photo together with Executive Director Takaki Nomoto. Vice President, please, Dr. Danford, please come and, yes. So we will take just a yes, and then we'll have the full Japanese delegation coming on stage. Let's just have this first photograph, and then the full Japanese delegation will come on. Camera people, if you can guide us a little bit. Some of you will go right behind. Yes. Okay, please keep spreading. Yes, spread. That's it. Right. Okay, once you're ready, when you finish, then we'll get everybody from Japan to come on. Okay. Thank you. Let me invite all guests from Japan to come on stage, please. Anybody from Japan who's remaining, please come on stage. Okay. Yes, please join us, come on stage. Yes, please. Spread along, keep making it up, Yes. Thank you, Mr. President, and our distinguished guests and presenters. Thank you so much for that. Okay, thank you so much. Let's take our seats, and I'll invite on stage to take your seats. Let me invite Susumu Tsubaki. Very good, thank you. If you're there, Ken Tahara, are you there? Yes, thank you so much. Yoichi Shimada. Ayako Kasai, thank you. And we've got Kunyuki Furuta. Are you there? Thank you so much. Masaki Umeda. And we've got Dr. Danford there with us. Thank you. Hello, yep, excellent. So there's a button, there are two buttons there, so when you want to speak, you press one of them. So thank you so much. We'll get into our discussion or the presentation, because I'm sure all of you are curious to know what is it about the innovations that are taking place in the health sector that our guests are going to present to us. So we are going to have presentations that are going to last not more than 5 minutes from each of our presenters here. And the first one is Susumu Tsubaki, the Managing Director and Representative Partner for Asia, Africa, Investment and Consulting, and whose mission says, through full commitment, growth, support, we will challenge new things and create new value in emerging countries and new fields. Just how are they going to do this? Let me hand over to Mr. Tsubaki.
Okay. So, thank you very much for introduction. At the same time, thank you very much for inviting us. We are so happy to see you again, and everybody. So we have 5 minutes, so I'd like to introduce about our project. So go to the next slide, please. Oh, somebody move that? Okay. I got it. Okay. First is I would like to present about our companies. Actually, at this time we have 10 offices globally, 6 offices in Africa, 4 offices in Asia. So we do consulting and investment both. Actually, we are the first private Japanese fund which focused to Africa investment. Actually, we accumulated about total commitment maybe more than 120 million US dollar basis. At that time, regarding about investment side, we have 2 arms. The one is innovation and healthcare. We have the funds, 1 and 2 funds. And another is agriculture and green is where direct investment. This is 2 years ago. I read about Africa. Sorry about this, all Japanese and Chinese only. So, but there's a big good hit in Japan for the Amazon. The 6 months it's best sellers. So recently, the Japanese people very seriously to address to the African market, I believe. And this is the first fund. Actually, we have 30 portfolios. For today, we're not so much talking about one by one. So this is our portfolio, the first fund, 30 portfolios. The mainly as Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt. This is 80% come from these 4 countries. And now we are doing about the second fund. At this time, we have 14 portfolios now. So mostly the same, but recently another is north side of Africa, or we are trying to the French areas also. Yeah, I'm very excited about this growth. Next slide, I'll show you about the direct investment to farms, mostly the agri and greens. First, we invested about the Rwanda. Actually, it's 200 hectares. It's 500 acres. And the second one is Tanzania. I just today come to Tanzania directly. We have almost 1,760 hectares. It's almost 5,000 acres. This is a farm. looks like something like that. It's a big mountains in Ngorongoro. We are next close up the Ngorongoro National Reserve. It's a very good, the coffee farms. This is open about 100 years ago. The German people opened this farm. We success these farms. And we are not only to do the farming, but also we develop about the community itself. So we have at this time, the staff is 296 Tanzanian staff. It's the largest for our groups. So we paid by the once 2 weeks paid by the M-Pesas or these things. At the same time, we support about the schools. I'm very surprised. We are actually we planning. It's hiring about maybe 1,000 employees here. So next, the village, it's adult is only 2,000, but the children it's more than 8,000. So many children there. So we have to collaborate each other. So this is clinics also, but there is no electricity right now. So we now thinking about invest, not only, digital farming, but also the schools, healthcare, and green energy also. So this we're talking about the smart village project. So please join us, and I would like to contribute to the Africa continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Subaki. And if you heard a small bell ringing, that's just to give a warning that you've got 1 minute to finish. And actually, Mr. Subaki left himself about 12 seconds. Very well done. Let's bring in Kanta Hara, the CEO and founder of AA Health Dynamics. You are innovative in medical skills and offer a points-based program called Continuous Professional Development. And people will be wondering, what is it? And apparently, you only do it in Kenya. Africa is bigger than that, 54 countries. Okay, anyway, over to you.
Okay. Nice to meet you. My name is Kenta Hara. I'm from AA Health Dynamics. We are innovators in the medical skills. We actually providing the medical education in Africa. So first of all, I just looking for the medical education sponsor as marketing your companies, medical education partner who wants to do medical education in your countries. And also we were looking for the people who want to invest and make social impact through the medical education. The MedicScan is a medical platform in East Africa operated by our companies. So then the 4,000 medical doctor and medical professional register on our the services. So then we providing of the medical education. So actually, what is a strong point of our company is providing of the continuous professional development point. Because Kenyan medical doctor have to renew medical license according to this point. So we are accelerated from the government in Kenya. So then we are only Japanese company offering to the CPD point in Kenya. What's kind of the medical education we conducted? First is medical webinar, then second is medical skill trainings. When we conducting the medical webinar, actually 400 medical doctor, medical professional participating on the one medical webinars. And in other hand, medical skill training, we focusing on the ultrasound training. So actually, 2020, all of the medical providers must providing the medical ultrasound examination. This is 2023, but the very few medical professionals providing the ultrasound echo examination, ultrasound examination. So there are big gap between the ideal and the reality. So from now, we just showing to the what we conducting in Africa. Oh, no sound, but we will conducting of the like this, using of the physical and online, both system using. Yeah, sound is coming, yeah. Yeah, we providing like this. So then the last year we trained to the 360 medical doctor in Africa, and also working with the medical device companies, local distributors, and also we will concentrating on OBGYN, obstetric gynecology, the field. So we conducting a training in biggest maternity hospital in Africa. Also we providing, working with Ministry of Economics, local medical association, and also Japanese companies. So now we are providing with the ultrasound training with Fujifilm, and also the field is for emergency training, and OBGYN training, and also cancer screening training. In other hand, we want to extend medical education for cardio catheterization. Now we're working with the Terumo to providing of medical education about the cardio catheterization. We will conducting this month. So then we hope to over 300 medical doctors trained in Africa years. The next 5 years, we aim to 10,000 medical doctors trained in Africa. Then we are planning to, now we based on the Kenya, but also we will extending to this activity, South Africa's, West Africa's, and also North Africa's. So also this platform can utilize for your medical device or your pharmaceutical product informed to the medical doctors. We have a big, we have a big platform for medical doctors, medical professionals. Please utilize this. So finally, I just want to say again, I'm looking for the sponsor, partners, and also investors to this medical education. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, and for the few seconds you left us, I want to say I was worried about just you being in Kenya alone, but I can see you've already done Nigeria, you're going to South Africa, and then Egypt. Thank you so much, Hara, for that. Yoichi Shimada, the CEO and founder of Afya Connect. Afya actually is a Kiswahili word for health. So, and today, if you're tuning in or just joining now, we are talking matters health for now. So you say you are transforming diagnostics and research in Africa through operational excellence. How do you do that? Over to you.
All right. Thank you very much for your introduction. This is Yoichi. I'm the founder of Connect Afya Limited. We are transforming diagnostic and clinical researches in Africa through our advanced clinical laboratory services, including genetic tests, digitalized clinic chains, and distributorships in collaboration with global companies. Many of the African countries have serious accessibility issues to diagnostics because of lack of infrastructures. This is causing a high disease burden. For example, 70% of cancer deaths is happening in emerging countries. That includes majority of African countries. This comes from late diagnosis. You may feel that this is just African issue. I would say it's not. This is truly a global issue which we need to tackle. Why? Because this accessibility issue to diagnostics is now causing another accessibility issue to the health data of the patients and causing some of the important genetic data which can be the key to develop new diagnostics and new treatments that can save our life in future, even your kids. Now, African continent has 20% of the world's whole population. But when it comes to availability of genetic data, only 2% is available coming from Africa. This is coming from infrastructure issues. Now, we are resolving these issues by providing access to diagnostics through our advanced clinical laboratory, clinic chains, and distributorships. At the same time, we are providing the connections to local market, local access to the hospitals and medical institutions through our networks, to the global companies and global organizations. We are literally connecting this local issue to the global level. We started our operation in 2019. Since then, we have served more than 60,000 patients across Kenya and neighboring countries. We also started some of the projects with global companies. That includes some of the global pharmas, medical device companies, even some other companies working in the healthcare field. Now, we are gearing up to expand our operations and enter clinical researches to take care of the clinical research projects across Africa. We are working on our new initiatives. We call it Genomic Innovation Hub. We are constructing one of the biggest clinical laboratories in East Africa that covers even genetic tests. What we are trying to do here is that in collaboration with local researchers, we are collecting genomic data of tribes across East Africa and give very detailed analysis using whole genomic sequencing technologies and make that data available to any researchers across the world so that this can be a source of clinical development of new treatments and diagnostics. Now, we are looking for two partners. One is an investor for our early stage equity investment. Number two is some of the grant partners who are trying to collaborate with us and make the positive changes to this global society. Thank you very much.
Mr. Shimada, you know how to talk to time. Thank you so much for that. And our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is Ayako Kasai, CEO and co-founder of Spiker Limited, and whose mission is to create a world full of healthy newborns. And Kasai has been to Africa many times. In fact, you spent 9 years in Rwanda. Tell us more about Spiker Limited.
Thank you very much for your introduction. I'm maybe only one female founder here of this delegation.
Let's give a round of applause for 2 seconds.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm also the mommy of the 2 baby girls. I love babies, and I, of course, love the African babies as well. So what we are doing, Spiker, is that we are developing an AI solution for the maternal health in the delivery room, the hospital. We can make the alert to lead earlier medical intervention by the midwives. So midwife is just looking at the big monitors, and once our alert is coming, they are just going to quick cares. So welcome to our team. We have the 22 specialists from 6 countries, of course, including the African, the youngsters of the IT areas. So what's the problem it happens in the hospital in Africa? The one big problem is the shortage of the medical personnel. Of course, doctor is always very busy, and then the midwife also taking care of the 10 patients at once. So you can imagine how hard was that was. And second thing, they need more trainings to read how to read the patient's data especially from the fetal heart rate of the baby in tummy. It's a bit complicated. So even in Japan also, we need the 3 years of the training in the hospital. However, we didn't have the time in the very busy hospital in Africa. So that's why this disappointed reality is coming that the perinatal death means the death of the baby after 28-week gestation. So I cannot imagine how hard and how sad is who lost their child. So that had happening around us. And more than that, 85.2% of the pregnancy cannot use even just this old CTZ, cardiotocogram medical devices in the hospital. So this device is just only to detect the fetal heart rate and the uterine contraction. So that's why we are developing the plug-in software, AI-based software, to lead earlier medical intervention by midwives, even mature or immature. Anyone is okay in the hospital, they can just realize the very first care to your babies. So this is the plug-in monitor. So we are just installing the small devices, small computers, microcomputers, and then one big monitor. And based on our technology is using AI to detect the abnormal signal from fetal heart rate. So it means baby's heartbeat from your tummy of the mommy. And the AI is based on the international guideline, of course. And we're detecting the very small changing of the fetal heart rate. It comments the 10% of all the abnormal signals. So this kind of the change cannot detect it, and a bit difficult to see it in the hospital, of course, in very busy hospitals. So we've already done 1-year clinical trial in Rwanda, and then we detected the fetal hypoxia 2.5 minutes earlier than before. So, and under our observation of the babies, all babies are very healthy newborns. So actually, what was happening in your hospital? As I said before, all doctors and the midwives only seeing our big monitor to observe all the patient and the babies. So once the alert is coming, they just go and fly to that patient and then taking care of the babies. So we are focusing on who is not enjoying that kind of the solutions. Then we can finally recommend the installation model, that 4-to-1 age model, to save 2,000 of the babies per year, just installing the 4 microcomputers and the 1 big monitors. So it's very enough to save the life of the babies. So you can realize earlier medical intervention without any additional recruit cost and then long-term training. So lastly, we are looking for some fans or the corporation and anyone who want to create a world full of the healthy newborns. Thank you very much.
Ayako Kasai, thank you very much. I was looking at the faces to see how engrossed you are all, and you are the only one perhaps we could have violated the time limit because of how gripping it was explaining to guests. Thank you so much for that. Let me bring in, let me bring in now Kuniyuki Fukuta, CEO, Soiki Corporation operating in Japan and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And at the core of their service is digitization. What's been the result so far? We are all keen to hear about that, and just maybe perhaps to say, let's give Mr. President, Dr. Adeshina, a round of applause. He's with that, but he's got to leave for other business as well. Thank you, Mr. President. By the way, Mr. Fukuta, that interruption does not eat into your time. You still have got your 5 full minutes. So at the center of what you're doing is digitization. And that is using smartphones. How exactly does it work?
Thank you very much for your introduction. I'm Kuniyuki Furuta, CEO of the SWAC, coming from Kinshasa, DRC, where I fully enjoy the thrill of the business roller coaster every single day. So we are challenging to reduce the maternal mortality ratio. Pregnant women in DRC are 100 times more likely to die than in Japan. Is it an acceptable situation? My journey began at JICA. I managed various healthcare projects, collaborating with African, Japanese experts in various African countries, and realized that the majority of maternal health has occurred in the community, not in healthcare facilities. That's why we are aiming to develop the digital solutions that reach out to the community. After JICA, I joined to the Japanese startup that developed the portable ultrasound devices. We provided the training for the midwives and distributed the devices to the healthcare facilities. However, the follow-up study after 6 months of the training revealed that only 10% of healthcare facilities continue to use our devices. Why? Because we failed to integrate our innovations into their routine tasks. That's why I founded the SWAC and developed SPAC. SPAC is a smartphone-based digital package connected with digital devices. See how it works. And owing to the portability of our packages, so nurses, midwives can conduct the ultrasound examination even in the village. In order to ensure the financial sustainability, we have a two revenue stream business model. The initial cost could be covered by the government or donors, and the recurrent cost could be covered by the subscription fee paid by the health centers. One of the trial in DRC revealed that we have succeeded to integrate our solution into the routine tasks, meaning 88% of ANC service were accompanied with ultrasound examination. And we saw the significant increase in the number of ANC service provided by our user facilities. Consequently, 28 precious lives were saved by SPAC in the 6-month period of the trial. We have users in DRC, Zambia, Sierra Leone, and Gabon. And as for the commercial customer 2G, we have the Ministry of Health in DRC, UNFPA, and JICA. In order to make sure the creation of impact, we take the vertically integrated activities, starting from the needs survey by the evaluation of the reporting. So these broad activities may overlap for the activities of the other stakeholders, but at the same time, this gives us the huge opportunity to collaborate with the potential partners. In this fiscal year, the sales amount will reach to the $1.5 million US, and leveraging with the customer base, the user network created by our existing business model, the platform business will be launched soon, and that contributes to the growth of the sales in coming 5 years. Let's hear from the Dr. Tuka, who saved the life of the pregnant woman in
Nous avons eu
DRC.
des cas de grossesse abdominale. Et si on n'avait pas ces matériels, on ne pouvait pas identifier ces diagnostics-là. Mais vraiment, c'est une vie que nous avons sauvée.
We have a team of 8 professionals from Japan and DRC. And actually, we are looking for the funding for the credit line loan or grant, which can cover our working capital, and seeking the strategic partner to collaborate with the execution of the project. These are our partners who validate our business approach. So actually, I firmly believe that Africa can become the most innovative continent in the world in digitization of community healthcare. Let's make it the reality together. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, and thank you, Mr. Furuta. Just to say, so you operate in DR Congo, you must know the local Lingala language. Sango nini?
Oui, c'est français.
Tu parlais bien français?
Oui, un peu.
Bien que moi?
Definitely.
Excellent, thank you so much for that. Let's hear from Mr. Masaki Umeda, is the Director and Vice CEO at Sora Technology. They are transforming people's way of life from the sky. Give us that panoramic view.
Thank you very much, Chair, for introduction. And first of all, I'd like to express my deepest gratitude for FDB for this kind of great opportunity. So last night, I enjoyed a kind of dancing party with the President. It was no dancing party, actually speaking. I also enjoy cuisine in Morocco, but thanks so much again. So I'm Masaki Umeda, Director and Vice CEO from Sora Technology. So with the mission of transform people's way of life from Sora, which means the sky in Japanese, we have been providing drone and AI-based solution for planetary health with an interdisciplinary team from Japan, Africa, and Europe. What Sora aims to solve is an inefficient environmental data collection for public health surveillance. So like in Africa, such kind of data collection can be characterized such like manpower, manual, fragmented, and so on. To deal with it, we can provide two innovations as explained. AI specialized in various environmental variables such as water body distribution, vegetation classification, contamination assessment, and so on. And inexpensive fixed-wing drone that can fly over 100 kilometers autonomously, even in the, like not so good internet access connection in Africa. This is the video that we took in Sierra Leone. One of our flagship services in Africa is for lava source management. Despite its significant efficacy against malaria and other mosquito-borne diseases, even compared with mosquito nets, lava source management is not so widespread in Africa, mainly due to very costly nature of larvicide itself and human resources. But if we apply our solution, we can significantly reduce the amount of larvicide to be sprayed by 70%, which can achieve very financially friendly and eco-friendly lava source management. In the conventional method of lava source management, firstly, water bodies has been searched only by humans, and then all the larvicide has been sprayed for all the water bodies detected, regardless of presence or absence of Anopheles mosquito larvae. But if our solution is applied, our AI can identify high-risk water body to be breeding sites. And then our AI can function based on several physical parameters of water bodies, such as like based on water body temperature, based on depth, sizes. Then our AI can work to classify those kind of risks. We have been kicking off present operation in several Western African countries, such as Sierra Leone, Ghana, and so on, under strong collaboration with Japanese government and private sectors as one of the members from Business Leaders Coalition for Global Health, led by Shibusao-san here, and also J-Startup certification program by Ministry of Economy of Japan. Also, we've just joined as a partner of Impact Investment Initiative for Global Health. This was also led by Shibusao-san here. And moreover, our project has been receiving very supportive comments from Bill Gates as cool example last year. Moreover, our social impact go beyond malaria elimination. So in order to localize our drone operation in Africa, we have been signing MOU with local university to train local interns and graduates as a drone operator and maintenance staff. So generally speaking, Japan has long cultivated knowledges about drone and aircraft. But recently, strict regulation inside Japan hinder actual drone flight tests to optimize drone design. In contrast, Africa has vast land and many young people with great futures. But such kind of technical knowledge accumulation is not so enough still. So such kind of compensation for this strength and weakness between Africa and Japan can make it possible much earlier realization of drone-oriented society, both in Japan and Africa. So beyond malaria, we are always exploring various applicability of our drone and AI, such as cholera surveillance, agriculture crop monitoring, and so on. So we are always welcoming ideas. Thank you very much for attention. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we should have started Umeda's timing after he had spoken about how nice last evening was. Sorry, we ate into your time. And I was just seeing one of your slides, Mr. Umeda. You seem to be very good at networking. I've seen with the Prime Minister Kishida. I've seen with the Minister Nishimura. You were there with the Dr. Bill Gates. That networking, does it translate into money?
Hopefully, yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Fair enough, thank you. Thank you so much. A big round of applause to our presenters here, because we want to now hear from the bank side and the vice president who looks after very important aspects of this continent. Dr. Danford feeds us. She's looking after our health. She's looking after our development in terms of human capital development. Dr. Danford, having listened to these presentations, I give you a blank check to just tell us what you make of what you've heard.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon. And I really want to thank our distinguished guests for sharing their insights, really focusing on the health sector. Dr. Susumu Tsubaki from AAIC, Mr. Kenta Hara from AA Health Dynamics, Mr. Yoshi Shimada from Afra Connect, Ayako Kasai, co-founder of Spiker, and Mr. Kuniyuki, CEO of Soik, and Mr. Masaki Umeda, Director and Vice CEO of Sora Technology. So what I heard today, I think, was, first of all, passion, and secondly, vision, which are the two things you really need, I think, to be successful. So that was amazing. I could really feel the energy around that, bolstered by very innovative technologies, state of the art, which was very, very amazing. And what I didn't expect before I sat down and met all of you earlier today was deep-rooted Africa experience. All of you are coming from the ground with years, in some cases decades, of experience in Africa. So those four things together, I think, really spell success and what we really need to see more of on the continent to transform the health sector. I saw innovations from around leapfrogging technology, around smart villages, around medical education to really fill that dramatic gap we have in healthcare personnel that's available, in genomic innovation and really getting the data we need to be able to diagnose and really treat people in Africa and also of African descent globally, I think is really, really important. Early interventions to have healthier babies, and really community health, I think, to save lives and also to have healthier babies, and how, again, drone technology can help really detect and really treat medical issues before they start. So again, what I saw today was, I think, very, very important innovations. When we met earlier, we discussed what were some of the obstacles to really taking these technologies to scale, and we know that there's a need for strategic partnerships, again, that can bring partnerships with government, again, scale at community connections on the ground, and importantly, financial partnerships of all scales. So I think that today we have a lot of investors here in the room and at AIF that I know you're meeting with. And so we know that everyone is hearing about your passion, your vision, your technology, and your deep-rooted experience on the continent. And I really hope that we can provide those partnerships you need to actually deliver. Because what we need, and what I saw here today, was the start of the baobab tree as we all get around to deliver for healthcare in Africa. Thank you very much.
Good. Let's give a round of applause to Dr. Danford, Vice President for Agriculture for Human and Social Development at the African Development Bank. I want us to also recognize our speakers for the first session. From my immediate left, Mr. Subaki, thank you so much. Mr. Hara, thank you. Mr. Shimada, Kasai, thank you so much. Mr. Furuta, and Omeda, a very big thank you to all of them. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to transition right away into the next session. So I will ask our first panel just to use the staircase that side as we bring on stage. Our first speaker will be Satoshi Akita, or do you want to transition first? Okay, fine. So they will leave the stage, and then we bring the next one. But maybe we take a group photo first. Okay. Yes, please. Just come here. We'll take a group photo. So our next panel, if you just hold on for a bit, they will make some changes. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're now going to transition into our next session. And as they arrange the name tags and seats, I just want to thank you for that very inspiring first session. And I'm hoping that there are things that you go away that have stimulated your mind and you really feel energized. I want to pass the baton now to my co-moderator, Naoshige-san. Naoshige-san. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Now I feel like I'm an abandoned child, but I try my best. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, please. Yes. Please. Okay. So all the distinguished guest speakers, yeah, please be on the stage. Oh no. Okay, so why don't we start? I think we have another group of distinguished guests, and we are moving to the matter of energy and infrastructure. And we have to do it with a passion and a vision, like VP said. Okay, so the first presenter is Mr. Satoshi Akita, CEO Washa. In Kiswahili, Washa, Kiswahili, Washa means light up and giving a power to the people, as your motto says. What's been your experience? You target low-income customers in rural areas. How smart is this? So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. And can I have the... Thank you, Kinoshita-san. Nice to meet you. My name is Satoshi Akita. I believe that the growth of micro entrepreneurs is crucial to poverty reduction in Africa. Then Washa is a startup which is developing businesses with them, like those small shops. And so far, we've raised about 30 million US dollars from 10 Japanese companies, 10 Japanese investors. Then, sorry. Yeah. As all of you know, the African economies are growing, but much of the population is still low income. Then, according to the World Bank estimate, the number of extreme poverty will not decrease until 2030. And the number of people without access to electricity has not decreased over the past 13 years. Then solar home system, which was very popular for a while, is still too expensive for low-income customers in off-grid areas. And its contribution to improving access to electricity is limited. So we need to change it. So we decided to create businesses that achieve all three of following at the same time. One, promote income growth for the poor, improve access to electricity, and generate profits to reinvest its expansion. So specifically, we are doing three businesses working with local retail shops in African rural villages. One is a LED lantern rental service. The second one, pay-as-you-go electric equipment and e-commerce. So first of all, for the low-income or unstable income customers who cannot afford solar home system, we install the solar panel on the rooftop of this small shop in the middle of the community. Then we charge LED lantern in that shop. Then we rent out LED lantern to fulfill their minimum demand, such as lighting and also charging mobile phone on daily basis. Because their income is not stable, they can only use our service when they have money. That's why we specialize in rental service. We developed an LED lantern that can be used for only 15 hours by paying rental fee in advance through mobile money. And so all the transactions are prepaid and digitalized. I know it sounds profitable, then even though the profit per rental is very small, but it can generate profits because the very large number of users. Sorry. Then we also offer pay-as-you-go electric equipment, such as smartphone to rental users using their daily rental transaction history as credit information. And in addition to electricity service, now we are developing e-commerce business that aggregates demand information from the local customers for centralized purchasing and stable supply. Sorry. The Washa has established in 2013. Then now, thanks to the many customers, we are now operating in 5 countries, such as Nigeria, DLC, Uganda, Tanzania, and Mozambique. And working with more than 5,300 outlets at the moment, and we will increase this number further in the future. So finally, let me show the impact of our business. This is an off-grid village in Tanzania. And all the lights you see were rented by us. Street vendors extended their opening hours and doubled their sales. And frequent rental users have used their transaction history as credit information to replace their featured phone with smartphone. Then now they are connected with the internet. And they use our smartphone application to provide us their demand information, and we aggregate demand from the multiple locations to source goods at the lower price with volume discount. And we help our customers to reduce their costs by selling them on our partners' outlet. That's all for my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Akita-san. So the next speaker is Mr. Abzahet Azat, International Market and Business Development Manager, KENS Corporation Limited. Actually, your business is built around the LED lantern and tied with education. How do you do that? What's the working? So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Zahid from KENS.CO Japan, and thank you very much that I would like to talk about some funny things about the energy sector, like using the LED lantern charging system, which is we call LLCS, with green energy for education in Africa. So a little bit looks have a profile with Nobuhiro Kawaguchi-san. He is actually the 3rd generation of his family to take that position of Kawaguchi steel industry. Then he moved to business in Africa, establishing 2013 the KENS.CO, and then after successful project, then he established Goods and Roof in Benin 2018. So he did lots of projects in Africa, more than 10 African countries, Southern, Eastern, Western, and we're waiting for Northern African countries. We're working with UNDP, IOM, JICS, JICA, JSB, crowdfunding, and Counterpart, and many pilot projects as well. So here's a list of some managing director you can see there. Also, he is the former president of Tosu Junior Chamber Industry, JCI. And he also awarded by the Forbes Japan for his creativity idea in Africa in 2019, and also awarded by Kyushu Mirai Award and Saga Psycho Company in 2019 as well. So the concept here is very popular with at school. You can see the left side of my presentation, there's a simulation, and the right side is the present conditions from different kinds of projects. So we actually installed the LED charging station inside the school. It will be charging during the daytime while they're studying. And when they go back to this home after finishing the school, it will be given to them to study at night. So the next morning, they will bring it to the school for charging again, and they study again. So this is one kind of recycling, or you can say sustainable with green energy. So we have already did a project with UNDP Uganda, UNDP Burkina Faso. And we also installed in one of the largest refugee camp at Adjumani and Obongi in Uganda as well. And also the DRC Congo with the academics primary education. So the impact of business model is very much deeper. We're charging 50 CFA for LED lantern in Benin, which we conducted since 3 years. And it has a vast feedback from the village community, which is directly observed by the Ministry of Benin as well. So they visited the village, and their response is very much impressive. You can see there that more parents now want to send their children for the LED lantern. That means the participation rate is increasing, as well as the participation rate of the teachers are also increasing there. And the main thing that the parents are not using kerosene oil anymore, so they are saving money. On the same time, they can charge the mobile phone through this LED lanterns, so they don't need to go to other shops for charging the mobile phone. So other shops charging like 100 sefa or 150 sefa, so they're saving a lot. So the impact is, this is one kind of pilot project of JICA under the, it's funded by the JBIC in Benin, so in 2000, it still is going on. In the next slide, you can see the impact. We believe on the data, ground data. We don't believe on the optimistic. So the data shows us that the length of education at night is increasing from 13 students before. They're starting only 3 to 4 hours. But now with the LED lantern and in Burkina Faso, they're starting just more than twice, 32 students now. At the same time, if you see the right side of the pie chart, you can see the 97% they are using to charge their mobile phone, using also the lighting as well. So this is an external source of information at the rural area. They are using internet or as well as a mobile phone at the same time. So, and in the bottom side, you can see the 42%, they're sharing with their brothers and sisters to study at night. So which is not possible to study together with the kerosene oil or other thing else. And 54% they're using individually. So this is a great data. And the main problem in Africa, you can see the higher education enrollment is very, very lower if you see in Tanzania and Niger, it's 2% and 4% respectively. So this is a very good data, and this is how we going for the business aim. That's we already did 10 schools, which is beneficiary 6,000 people. This is our target, but our asking investment on the second target is 660 schools with 200,000 beneficiaries. So this is we are asking for 35 million US dollar, and we own fund will be 5% and 95% maybe from AFDB or the DFI. So the main also target is 7,200 schools, so with beneficiary 2,001,800. So this is also we want to move to the another African countries as well as the local market in the Africa. So the main thing I want to mention before my finishing my presentations. Thank you very much for, thank you very much.
Okay, so the actually third speaker would be from Shikoryu, Japan. There's two presenters, Mr. Koichi Sato, founder of KENS.CO, and Ms. Lina Robert, Africa Strategy Officer and a co-founder. So actually, we've had a lot of the business only from East Africa, from hearing all this session from first session, health and energy. But this company, they're focusing on West Africa in Senegal. Right? So we would like to hear more. Yeah, the floor is yours.
OK, thank you very much. Bonjour tout le monde. Alors, donc, je vous dis bonjour tout le monde, toutes les personnes francophones. Voilà. Mais je vais essayer de parler en français aujourd'hui. Bon, good afternoon, everyone. Usually, I speak in French, but I try in English today with this paper. OK, thank you. Alors, my name is Koichi Sato, CEO of Shikoryu Japan and Senegalese subsidiary Tsumiki Japan. Alors, many mothers die in Africa, giving birth in dark clinic. That was very shocking to me. I decided to contribute in Africa. Then we developed the vision of the Tsumiki pyramid. We are committed to economic growth, job creation, and technology transfer through sustainable energy and communication technology, while advancing digitalization in healthcare, education, and the agriculture. It's a mix of gender, nationality, and idea that really move us forward. And now, I'd like to pass the torch my co-founder, Madame Lina Robert. That floor is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sato. So I'm Lina Robert, co-founder and strategy officer. And welcome and hi everyone. I will just begin before going furthermore into this conversation, if I may, to propose you to play a game with me. So please, everyone, close your eyes and imagine you are a doctor. And with eyes closed, can you write and sign prescriptions? Can you provide with proper medical care? Can you assist mothers giving birth? Quite difficult, right? Unfortunately, this is a reality in isolated area in Africa even today. Thank you for your collaboration. You can open your eyes now. So that's why and how we have started our activities in Senegal, bringing light and digital solutions to 10 health medical centers in isolated area in Senegal to enable safe medical care and literally saving lives, as we have seen on the previous session, which is really, really important. Then we have partnered with the Ministry of Education, and the first project was partnered with the Ministry of Health of Senegal. And then the second project has been partnered with the Ministry of Education to bring light and intranet access to 9 schools for them to connect to e-content of the Ministry of Education so that education is made even more accessible in isolated area. And at Tsumiki, we are really strongly committed to make Africa with Japan. At Tsumiki, we really believe that electricity and communication is the heart of everything. From there, we can impact all the different sectors, helping both solving social issues and developing economic activities as a virtuous circle for everyone to live in peace. So now we are scaling up as we are strongly committed to contribute massively so that we have this ambitious project, starting with a solar power plant in Senegal of 150 megawatts. Then we will integrate multi-sectors for local communities development, starting with agriculture. As with solar power, we can develop cold chain infrastructures and water management, such as irrigation, for example, helping farmers to improve all the agricultural activities. And then we want to have an impact on economic growth of Africa through carbon credit, green hydrogen, sustainable aviation fuel, etc., and innovative solutions tailored and really suitable for local environment as the chemical-free, low-tech sand battery. So now we really at Tsumiki want to create, co-create with you, and you, with all together to create a greener Africa. And now we are actively seeking for partnerships and investments for sustainable impact. So the solar power plant alone is expected to be a little bit more than $150 million with an internal return rate of 8 to 15% with a 20-year PPA. So join Tsumiki team and let's create all together this new and better world we all want to see. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, so let's go to the next speaker. The next speaker would be Takuya Hirose-san. And actually, we are going to a little bit different direction. And it's a company called Stein Miller Engineering. Take us into the world of fuel of ammonia and how does it work, particularly in Africa. Floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Takuya Hirose. Looking toward a decarbonized society, we are focusing on ammonia as a green fuel. Today, I'm going to talk about our activity to develop ammonia supply chain. First, a few words about IHI and Steinmüller Engineering. IHI Corporation is a Japanese engineering company with main 4 business areas. The company operates worldwide with more than 28,000 employees and annual sales of about $9 billion. Steinmüller Engineering is a German engineering company that is 100% owned by IHI Corporation. We act as a European base of energy sector in IHI Corporation. So there is no doubt that renewable energy is the best way to achieve carbon neutral world, but there is no way to store it massively or to transport it to very remote places. IHI converts the renewable energy into liquefied ammonia for transportation and long-time storage in energy-consuming areas. In this way, the renewable energy could be used effectively even in the area not suitable for renewable energy production. For the social implementation of fuel ammonia, production and utilization technology need to be widely disseminated, and it is important to connect the upstream and downstream part of the value chain in a well-balanced manner. IHI is connecting the entire value chain by developing technologies and making strategic investments, thereby contributing to the realization of societal decarbonization. Upstream, we are working with partners on the project to produce green ammonia in countries with cheap renewable energy, such as Australia. In the midstream, we are working to increase the size of fuel ammonia reception and storage facilities. And in the downstream, we are developing gas turbine and marine engine that use ammonia as a fuel. Just as an example, IHI has achieved 100% ammonia combustion by using our 2,000 kilowatt gas turbine at our R&D facilities with no unbound ammonia or greenhouse gas emission. In order to decarbonize the power sector, IHI will start utilizing ammonia in traditional thermal power plant. But this is only the first step to reduce carbon quickly and economically. We believe that these plants should be replaced with gas turbines that are 100% ammonia fired. Our goal is complete decarbonization through ammonia combustion by gas turbine. In January this year, IHI began developing large-scale ammonia gas turbine with General Electric to be developed before 2030. In doing so, we aim to utilize the customer's existing asset. When existing natural gas turbine users are ready to go green, all they need to do is replace their natural gas combustor with an ammonia combustor. So there's no need to replace with existing natural gas turbine. Fuel conversion is fast and cost-effective. This is one of our technologies that we believe will help to achieve decarbonization in Africa and other places around the world. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we are happy to see the next female speaker. second female speaker, I mean. Yeah, Ms. Hiromi is there. Yeah, she's a marketing and business development in Africa and the APAC, Tsubame BHB Corporation Limited. Actually, the company produces green ammonia and a carbon-free fertilizer. So what opportunities are you targeting in Africa? So please.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Hiromi from Tsubame BHB. It's a great honor for me to be here to present our business planned in Africa. Okay. So small-scale distributed green ammonia and low-carbon fertilizer project is what we want to do in the African continent. So let me introduce our company quickly. We are the climate, So we are the climate tech born from Tokyo Institute of Technology, which is one of the famous university in Japan. There are three keywords to describe about ourselves. One is innovative ammonia synthesis technology called electrolytic catalyst, which is developed by the gentleman in the picture, Professor Emeritus Hideo Hosono. He's one of the candidates for the Nobel Prize every year. And secondly, we produce ammonia at low temperature and low pressure compared with the conventional technology. So using these technologies, we are now deploying the small-scale distributed ammonia synthesis production modules, which is in the image, the picture in the blue color. This is the modular system of our ammonia synthesis production. And we are there are major stockholders who is supporting our business development. Okay. So this is our vision. There are two items that we wanted to aspire and to realize. The world decarbonization, not only energy sector, but also the other sector, industry sector as well. And secondly, the food security. Especially in African continent, I would like to stress on the food security. Okay, so what we wanted to do in African country, it's very simple. So we would like to use the renewable energy available in your country to produce the green hydrogen from water electrolysis, which means that split the water and get the hydrogen. And use this green hydrogen and nitrogen from the air. We synthesize ammonia, we call it green ammonia, for 5,000 tons per year. So you can produce ammonia from water and air. It's very simple. And ammonia is actually a gas chemical, so we are going to neutralize this gas chemical, ammonia, with a kind of chemical, acid chemical, for example, like sulfuric acid, and produce particle fertilizer called ammonium sulfate, 20,000 tons per year. This is what we want to do. So now the fertilizer is actually produced in the manner of the mass production, centralized production, but we would like to bring this, bring the supply chain innovation using our technology to make the plant smaller and on-site production. So the impact that we would like to bring is, number one, is the CO2 emission reduction in the transportation. So it's a little bit small letters. So the above, the row above is showing the supply chain of the fertilizer production at the moment. So fertilizers, ammonia is now produced in the country where the natural gas and coals are produced. For example, like Russia, China, and UAE, that's many of the African countries are importing the fertilizer from these countries. So the ammonia or fertilizer is exported from these countries by ocean transportation, and it reaches to the consumption site. But what we want to do is we produce ammonia and fertilizer on the consumption site. So which means that we can reduce all these emissions in the transportation. Okay. So in the production also, we compare with the gray fertilizer. if we produce this ammonia with the renewable energy, 100 renewable energy, it's going to be we are able to produce ammonia and fertilizer. The CO2 emission we can reduce is 91.7%. So the reason why I came here is to find a partner which can provide a renewable energy at a competitive price and stable, and also the technical partner who can build the plants together with us, and also the off-taker of the fertilizer, local fertilizer producers, and also the financial supporters like African development banks, and the green policy backup from the government, and also the international organization. That is a very important support for to realize our business feasible and bring us the key factor for the success. Okay, so this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Okay, the sixth presenter is another interesting presenter, Mr. Takuma Terakubo, CEO and General Partner, Uncovered Fund. Actually, you are aiming to discover untapped talent, creating business, and now you are entering into the carbon credit for the value of the future 10 billion people. But how are you going to achieve such a great dream?
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Takuma. I'm CEO and General Partner of Uncovered Fund. So we are Japanese venture capital focused on African startups. We have invested 29 startups right now, and then we are backed by Japanese corporate to create new business and new value with a local startup together. So we discover untapped talent and passion of the entrepreneur in Africa. So in the past 3 years, we have invested 29 startups right now, which is related to mobility, logistics, fintech, the distribution, and then they're growing very, very fast, and then becoming the leading company in each industry right now. So they penetrate 17 countries, and then they have an operation of the business. So about our impact, through our portfolio, they created more than 3,000 jobs in Africa. And then they have raised more than $450 million externally since we have invested to them. But our vision is more than that. We are looking to invest more than 1,000 startups in Africa, creating 1 million jobs, and then also creating the 10 billion corporation value. So that is our vision. Now we are moving to the next step. So we almost done the first fund, and then we are creating the new fund. Now we got a new partner, Monex. Monex is one of the largest online security companies in Japan. We Uncovered Fund and Monex create a fund together. Through the fund, we are creating 2 things. One is economic growth with open innovation. We support the growth of the startup business in Africa with Japanese technology and asset. And second, carbon neutral. We support the local startup to issue the credit to all over the world, and we support the trading between Japanese corporate and African startups. So that is the concept of our fund. The focus industry through our fund, there's 4 industries we are focusing. So one is financial inclusion. So we are creating the digital infrastructure of the finance, also supporting the informal sector to get more income for them. The second, distribution. We are creating the more efficient way to the distribution, so supporting the local retail shop, distributor, and then the logistic companies. Third, mobility. So we are creating the next generation of mobility infrastructures, including like EV or energy sectors. So last, climate tech. So we support the business which is related to agriculture, energy, and then the biogas, and then support them to create the credit as well. So this is the last slide. This is an overview. We are creating the new fund, which is for the 30 million size, and then investing the more than 50 startups. So our fund and our LPs support the startup together with open innovation and then carbon credit trading. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you, Terakubo-san. Yes, so the last speaker would be Aidi Ikedo-san. She's the director and the CEO of Index Strategy Incorporation. And you're the only one who does very conventional business among all the startups. PPP in Ghana. And you said the Shikai spirit. What is the Shikai spirit in your presentation? So please.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ari Keda, Director and COO of Index Strategy. So Index Group, we are a project management firm established in 1994, and after shifting the holding structure back in April 2021, the department that was in charge of public-private partnership abroad was newly established as Index Strategy. And one of our group philosophy is always with the Shikai spirit, making Shikai effort. So what Shikai means is that back in the Edo period, people who create kimono, the Japanese traditional clothes, were once called Shikaiya. So whenever they create kimono, it requires at least 40 different processes, including coloring, designing, etc., which obviously involves different management engagement of stakeholders to eventually make that beautiful product as kimono. So what happens is that whenever we develop any PPP project, we have this Shikai spirit as a Japanese project management style to ensure the successful delivery of all the projects. So in terms of ongoing projects, we cover both civil and social infrastructure. And in Africa in particular, we have 2 ongoing projects, one in Ghana and the other in Morocco. So for the project in Morocco, this is a project for the MICE PPP development in the city of Casablanca. So this is to develop a MICE facility while preserving national heritage buildings for the mainly for the tourism attraction. So this project is currently at a preliminary feasibility study phase funded by the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry of Japan, which is expected to end in early next year. And the other project is the road PPP in Ghana. So this is a part of the Abidjan-Lagos corridor to link western coastal cities in West Africa, mainly for the regional corridor development. And the project value is approximately 137 million US dollars, and we've already completed the preliminary feasibility study and now are in the phase of feasibility study. And in terms of the Ghana Road PPP, I would say there are 3 key characteristics. So the first is we have implemented this core Japan philosophy. So initially, the government of Japan was promoting all Japan, but for this project, we have structured an optimal consortium together with companies of Ghana and Portugal to realize global partnerships while securing the project leadership as a project manager. And the second key characteristic is that this is a G2G and G2B cooperation. So back in both TICAD 7A, there were 2 different MOUs signed, again, at the G2G and G2B levels. So it practically means that there's an official support from the 2 governments. And the third key characteristic is that considering the macroeconomic situation currently in Ghana, we have shifted to integrate both the brownfield and greenfield sections into one PPP operation, mainly to mitigate financial risks as well as to ensure project viability. So this project is officially registered as unsolicited proposal by the Ministry of Finance of Ghana, and we hope to materialize sometime next year to realize the ever core Japan road PPP that could be realized or implemented in Africa. Thank you very much.
Okay, so all speakers down, thank you very much. Akita-san and Azat-san, and of course, Sato-san is there. Yeah, Robo-san, you are there, and Hirose-san, Suda-san, of course, Terakubo-san, and Ikedo-san. So please give a big round of applause to all the speakers. Okay. So, but we would like to hear from African Development Bank. Of course, the Director for Energy Financial Solutions, Policy and Regulation, Mr. Wale Shunibale, used to be my boss, so I have to respect him. And actually, he's a perfect person to sort of give the feedback, because you went to Japan a month ago looking at the green ammonia was productions, and you know all the IPPs and off-grid space. So yeah, I'm not giving you so much pressure, but yeah, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nao-san. No pressure whatsoever. I've been very impressed by the quality of the presentations that we've had this afternoon. It's given me a lot of optimism about the future of Japan-Africa relations, because all of the solutions are so innovative. So for instance, starting with Mr. Akita with Washa, I mean, this is a business that is looking to create credit history for local communities. One of the biggest issues with people in rural communities is access to finance, because they don't have credit history. So you're using these digital solutions to create a credit history, you're creating a business ecosystem, and you're bringing these informal businesses into formal businesses. So you may think you're providing a lighting solution, but you're providing much more than that. And I can see the sustainability of this business model that you're introducing. And also you're doing centralized purchasing in order to get economies of scale. So I think it's a very innovative approach, and one that is extremely scalable. So well done for that effort. I think that's something that many financial institutions will support. So please continue to do what you're doing. Thank you so much. So you have Mr. Azad from KENS.CO. And again, what I like about this solution is that there's a loop. So basically, you have these solar units that you give to the children at school, but you can only charge it at the school, but you allow them to take it home. So when they take it home, they can study at home with their friends and family, and then they're encouraged to come back to school the following day to recharge the unit. And by the way, while they're at school, they can get some education in the process, right? So it encourages school enrollment, and also the teachers get to use it, and the parents get to use it to charge their phones. So again, extremely innovative, and it's affordable. 50 sefa. And so again, we've seen the results going from 13 to 32 people, I think, in terms of enrollment, and you get benefits for the entire community. So another really innovative product, and I think these are products that we need, very practical solutions that we need in Africa. So we have Mr. Katsu, so well done and congratulations. So we have Mr. Sato and Ms. Lena Robert, Tumiki, Japan, and Sukri Cube. Yeah, is that right? Suk, I think that's a French word for sugar, right? Suk, Cube, Japan. Anyway, so bring light and digital solutions. And again, this is a grand vision that you have. I mean, this is probably the biggest of the visions, 150 megawatt of solar plant. And then you're looking at cold chain, human capacity, carbon credits, sand batteries, so I'm impressed by the scale of the vision. Obviously, you're going to implement it in stages because you can't do everything at once. And I like big projects, so you need 150 million euros So, I mean, I think we should have a conversation because I like big projects. I like small projects as well, but this is, you know, I like the vision. I like the idea of introducing new technology. We have to think about new ways of doing things. And being able to support clinics and schools is extremely essential for the kind of social outcomes that we're looking for. So thank you so much for bringing this solution. The next one is Hirose Stan, Mr. Hirose, from IHI Group. Now, this one is very close to my heart because I was at your headquarters in Japan, and I can actually see what you're doing, the technology pilots, and the idea that you can take a gas turbine, retrofit it, and use ammonia. That's really practical. You know, a lot of people talk about decarbonization, thinking you just leapfrog from this solution, move straight to green hydrogen or green ammonia. But these things cost money. And one of the things that we say at the bank is, look, gas is a very important transition for Africa. So, and some people say to us, oh, but you can't invest in this gas turbine because you're going to have stranded assets, which you're not going to be able to use when the world decarbonizes. Well, in Africa, we're going to be using those gas turbines for a long time. But because we can convert it to use ammonia, that means we don't have this issue of stranded assets. We could use the same assets. When the time comes, we convert it. So I think, you know, this is technology of the future, and it's certainly very useful and practical, you know, because one of the reasons why communities in some places are turning away from decarbonization is just the cost of doing it. So thank you for that solution, and I really enjoyed my visit to your factory in Japan. You should invite me back, even if I say so for myself. So the next company, that's Ms. Suda. Yes, that's Tsubame BHP, right? Fantastic, again, very innovative solutions. You're looking at decarbonization, food security, and the fact that you're able to produce ammonia, very scalable solution. You know, you produce it on site, and that's revolutionary because it's scalable, it wouldn't cost too much, you could move it around and produce at the location so that you reduce emissions. So having to transport ammonia large distances by ship and all of those things, you're cutting out all of that. You're talking about 91.7% reduction, which is very impressive. So I can't wait to see those machines. I think, you know, the AFDB and other development banks would be very keen to support this kind of technology because it ticks virtually all the boxes that we're looking for. And, you know, in Africa, we need to really accelerate food production. So that's great. Thank you for that solution. And then the next one is, right, let me see, getting lost with my notes. Mr. Terra Kubo, Uncovered Fund, right? You know, one of the things that is missing within the financing ecosystem in Africa is venture capital. And you're bridging that gap. Everybody runs to the bank. You know, startup with no track record of business, they want to take a bank loan. But you have to explain to them that you need venture capital. Often in Africa, what we call venture capital is actually friends and family. And we need to get away from that because there are some family members who start avoiding you when you ask them for too much money. So you have venture capital, you're investing in small, and you know, fintech in Africa has been growing astronomically. And we have a lot of informal businesses, and you formalize those businesses, you provide the corporate governance that allows them to raise more money. Quite interesting to see that your companies have raised over $400 billion of new money as a result of your intervention. So really, you're helping us to fill a very useful gap on the continent. So thank you for that effort. And so the next company is Index, Ms. Ikedo, yeah? Ikedo-san, right. So again, I like this concept, Shikai, is it? Is that the correct pronunciation? which is about project management. And you're doing PPPs. In PPPs are like a long marriage. You're with. It's government, private sector. The arrangement could be 20, 25 years, and you need a lot of trust and transparency and open book accounting, or you could say open kimono. You have to see everything, in order to build trust. So I think what you're doing on that road in Ghana, and also the project in Morocco, restoring historical buildings, it's about mobilizing resources. It helps us to build human capacity on the continent. And really that's what we want, because government cannot do everything. So I think we could be here all evening and talk about all these wonderful businesses. I actually see an evolution in the way Japan is approaching Africa, because in the 70s, it was the trading companies, it was the salarymen and women who would come to Africa and just sell products. But you guys, you're taking a completely different approach. You're ground up, you're innovating, and you're co-creating with Africans. So that's longer term, more sustainable, and it benefits Africa and it benefits Japan. So thank you so much for all this innovation and what you're contributing to the continent. Thank you.
Big round of applause. And Sato-san, please be on the stage, and let's make a family photo. Let's have a break for 10 minutes, and please go to bathroom or coffee. There's a coffee, right? Coffee is just after the exit, and after 10 minutes or what will be the time for coming back. So please come back 6 o'clock. We're going to have the last round discussion. So thank you.
نحطه فوق سميتو نخليه فوق الطبلة سميتو 増えるわ。
Turn it off.
こうという。So, okay, so why don't we start this is actually the last session, roundtable discussion. So, welcome to the climate of today's side event, yeah, boosting Africa's growth with Japan from startups to major companies. And we have had a presentation on health, energy, and infrastructure from mostly startups. Now we have major Japanese companies and Japanese institution, and of course our big boss, VP Koeno. And if you look at all this demography, and probably you make any comparison from the previous two sessions, you know, our sort of average age become much higher. And also look at all this only men, you know. Yeah, so we're going to improve. Yeah, next time. Yeah. Okay, so joke aside. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Kim Shibusawa, Chief Executive Officer, Shibusawa and Company, and he's the co-chairperson of Global South Africa Committee of Keizai Doyukai. So thank you very much, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. I'd like to extend my appreciation for the Africa Development Bank for this opportunity to stand here, and especially you guys, because you're still here after a very long late afternoon. And thank you for my fellow panelists. I represent today as one of the co-chairs of the Global South Committee, Africa Committee at Keizai Doyukai, along with my colleague, co-chair Mr. Ide Fujitai, sitting on the front row. A quick word about Keizai Doyukai. It's called the Japan Association of Corporate Executives. It was established back in 1946 after the devastation of war, where then young executives wanted to reconstruct the company. Currently, the membership is 1,500 executives, CEOs, ex-CEOs, and to-be CEOs, and about 900 companies, very large companies and not so large companies. We at the Keizai Doyukai established the Africa Committee back in 2009, 2010, and I've been involved in that ever since. Last 2 years, it's been kind of a very exciting year for us that was involved in Africa. We had made a presentation at TCAD last year, where we proposed an impact fund for Africa. And as you can see, President Adesina joined us in Keizai Doyukai this year in 2023. We've had meetings with a lot of other important organizations in Africa like AU NEPAD. The excitement was TCAD, where we met with President Adesina, and he invited me to come to Cote d'Ivoire for this Africa Investment Forum a year ago today. And there I met a new friend, Vice President Quaynor, and he gave us a lot of encouragement to say, hey, let's co-create this fund for Impact Fund into Africa. Now, what are we proposing? Now, in the African continent, there's always funds that are looking for market return. That's always been there. Money, government money or foundation money to solve social and environmental issues, that's always been there. And the concept of impact, you're doing both. You're not giving up return, but you also have the intent to solve these many critical issues in Africa. Now, but impact funds in Africa has been existing for over a decade. What do we bring to the table? And capital. Well, it was established under the endorsement of the Keizai Doyukai. So our genesis is actually Japanese corporations. And I think that gives us our identity in a sense. And so what we'll be doing is we'll be investing in the growth stage of companies, not the early stage, but the growth stage. Why do we do that? Because then there could be more collaboration with our LPs, the Japanese corporations, and possibly an exit strategy for some of the companies. We'll be also investing in funds, which will be providing us relationships with the funds, which will also be providing us a pipeline for our direct investment. And so the company is formed, and capital, and the shareholders are Fujita, Japan Signal, who's on the delegation with me today, also Japan Tobacco, Seiko Epson, and Sompo Japan, and myself, Nishimura Asahi, which is the largest law firm in Japan. And in addition, the CIO, Mr. Sato Akira, who is sitting there, and we'll be putting together our fund, first close, hopefully maybe late spring, initially with our shareholders of the company and some other companies that are interested. Now, we've visited about 90, it's strike 10, 90 companies, about 90 companies in the last 6 months or so, and we get various responses about Africa. Many say Africa is very, very far away, and we say, yeah, it's true, that's why we exist. But other companies say that's very exciting. How do we go on to the next step? And so with this group, we're hoping to launch. The final close is 100 million, but initial close, as I said, spring of next year. Now, Africa is very, very far away, but our Prime Minister has had commitment to the Global South and especially Africa. This is a scene where we met him in Mozambique. I was one of the co-chairs, I was the chair of the private sector delegation to Mozambique and Mauritius. Mr. Saida, next to me, joined me on this delegation. And I had the chance to address like this many people in the African audience in Mozambique and Mauritius. And basically my message was this, is 150 years ago, if you think about it, Japan was an emerging country. And unlike Africa, we didn't have much natural resources, but we had people. And basically, Japan capitalized on the human capital of the nation and was able to join the ranks of the advanced nations back then at the time. I think there was a little bit of hubris. There was the terrible years of war, destruction. But from that destruction, ashes of destruction, again, Japan was able to capitalize on the human capital to become one of the largest economic powers in the world. So our proposition for the African continent is this concept of human capital. That's our legacy. And in the continent, you have you have lots of people, and it's growing by the day. So what does the African continent need? Well, it needs to empower the human capital part of the equation. And to me, the importance of this Keizai Doyukeis initiative for and capital is actually co-creating this environment for empowering the human capital for Africa, not just for Africa, frankly for Japan, because Japan's, our population is decreasing, unlike Africa, which obviously means we need to be increasing our human capital capacity. One additional note for you is that at the Hiroshima summit, at G7, I was part of a project in global health, which is a big part of the human capital equation, and to use impact investing into global health in order to entice more private sector money into global health. Now, grants and charity, that's a very important part of the equation, but I think for serious money to come from the private sector into global health is if it's a growth strategy. But if you think about it, global health is seen as a cost. If it's a cost, it sells to somebody else. And so there's a way of thinking about it as a growth strategy. And from that, in September, during the UNGA side event, we were able to launch this initiative called Triple I for Global Health, which is basically using impact investment into global health to entice more private sector investment. I have the privilege of being one of the co-chairs. Another individual is Mr. Steve Davis. He's worked with McKinsey, a very, very smart businessman. And a very, very dynamic Nigerian woman, Yodi Alakija, who's an expert in this the global health area. So again, for us, and Capital and Keizai Doyukeis Africa Committee, what's our mission? Is to co-create, with Africa, a better tomorrow for our next generation. So, thank you very much. I didn't get the bell. I thought I was going to get the bell.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
I think you did a fantastic job.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Shibata-san. The next speaker to be Mr. Tadao Saida. He's a corporate officer, managing director of Sumitomo Corporation Africa. Of course, everybody know Sumitomo Corporation. Yeah, so the floor is yours.
Thank you for introduction. My name is Saida of Sumitomo Corporation. Thank you for giving me such opportunity. Firstly, please let me share a brief introduction of our company. Sumitomo Corporation is an integrated trading house or business development and investment company in almost any segment of industry operating all over the world, based on our global organization and human networks. Sumitomo Corporation has more than 100 years history, but Sumitomo Group has a 430-year history with copper smelting as its ancestral business. By our business development, a collaboration with partners and capital investment, our company is always seeking for creating new values for sustainable growth and contribution to the global society. We work towards enriching lives and the world. This page is our footprint in Africa. We have been active in Africa for more than 60 years. To date, the main business has been investment in mineral resources, EPC, and IPP projects in power infrastructure. In Madagascar, we operate nickel and cobalt mine and are working hard to contribute to the country's development. In the IPP business, we invest and operate a wind power project in South Africa and a gas-fired power project in Ghana. We are tackling energy transition by developing a renewable power project, including large-scale hydropower IPP project in Mozambique. But recently, needless to stress here again, many countries in Africa are developing in leapfrog speed based on rapid growth of young generation. Under such circumstances, we have decided to challenge to create business in the B2C sector through telecommunication, digital, and fintech, which can contribute to realize a better and more convenience life for the people in Africa. We, Sumitomo, has been building the strong business partnership with Vodafone Group since 2020 and sets multiple aspects of business development. First investment is the telecommunication business in Ethiopia. Together with Vodafone Group and BII, a British International Investment, we acquired a new telecommunication business license in Ethiopia in 2021. We have also acquired a license for mobile financial or services, M-Pesa, in May this year, and launched its service recently. In August 2023, IFC, a member of World Bank Group, newly joined this project as an equity investment partner. With this strong partnership, we will achieve digital inclusion for all the students in Ethiopia and contribute to Ethiopian government's digital transformation initiative called Digital Ethiopia 2025. Based on this platform, we aim to realize various business cases which would solve social issues such as agriculture, healthcare, education, insurance, and others. And following to the project in Ethiopia, we are also exploring the opportunities of the joint business development with Vodafone Group in the 5 segments, such as tower, fiber network, device, digital services, and renewable energy. Lastly, I'd like to touch on M-Kopa as our important investment portfolio. The company is an asset finance startup founded in Kenya in 2011. They sell smartphone devices to their underbanked customers in Africa through its pay-as-you-go model by utilizing the mobile money service like M-Pesa. We made a significant follow-on investment in M-Kopa this May. We aim both M-Kopa's growth and our own creation of the business in B2C or B2B2C sector. With mineral resources, power infrastructure, and consumer businesses at its core, we aim to grow with Africa. We believe this will lead to enriching lives and the world. Thank you for your kind attention.
Okay, thank you, Saida-san. Okay, that was very interesting on looking at all the evolution of the business from traditional to M-Kopa and digitalizations and all this to the retail. So the next speaker would be Mr. Yosuke Yamamoto. Yamamoto-san is the regional CEO for Africa and general manager of Johannesburg branch of Marubeni Corporation, of course, another big company. Yeah, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Assalam alaikum. And then bonjour à tous. Ana ismi Yamamoto, Jumaber Yamamoto. I'm Yusuke Yamamoto, regional CEO for Africa of Marubeni Corporation. Yeah, actually, I'm impressed with the presentation, all of the startups and the did. So I'm hesitant to start my presentation. So please ring a bell now. Okay. Anyway, at first. Please remember Marubeni. Marubeni. It's really difficult to pronounce, but as one of the largest Japanese and trading investment conglomerate company, our 16 division is covering all of the industries with the 160 years history and with the more than $80 billion US annual revenue by covering 68 countries with the 140 branch offices all over the world. Okay, in Africa, we have there 13 branch offices and there are 6 group companies. But our business in Africa is still very small on a like annual revenue basis. I don't want to say only, but they are $2 billion US. So we need to accelerate to develop our African business with their good local partners. As I don't think we could develop their good and a business in Africa without their good partner here. Okay, next 2 pages shows our major business in Africa. First one is the LNG project in Equatorial Guinea. And then second one is the chartering project of FPSO in Ghana. And also distribution and the service and the business of the automotive cars and in Ghana for more than 25 years. And then we have just finished the construction of the geothermal power plant in Kenya. The president of the Kenya attended that and completion ceremony. Then we have been operating water recycling project in Durban, South Africa for more than 20 years. And then distribution of the fertilizer, more than 500,000 tons in South Africa and also the neighbor countries. As a part of our global fertilizer distribution networks, more than 12 million tons all over the world. It should be there about more than 3% of the world demand. Okay, and then we're also making an investment for the solar power delivery services, as the Akita-san explained. I'm not sure we could make a good enough support or not. And also through the AIC, we are make an investment for the startups, as the Tsubaki-san explained. And also we have been doing a lot of the trading, the minerals, chemicals, and then coffee is one of the biggest products exporting for Japan. The coffee supply that share in Japan is more than 30%. Okay, last one is our 3 major themes for the African business. First one is the greener Africa, realizing a sustainable society in Africa, where the risk of the climate change and climate change is high through the solving and the environment and the social problems. Second one is the growing DXing Africa, capturing a demand of Africa driven by population growth, urbanization, higher education levels, changing lifestyles, unemployment of the implementation of the AFCFTA, and the adoption of the digital technology through the population, through the plantation types, and then privilege and provide the strategy, long-term and the synergy and then long-term growth. Okay, and then last one is resource-rich Africa, securing the crucial minerals unevenly distributed in Africa and supply them to their global market, especially for their EV-relating materials and also their carbon credit. We consider carbon credit is one of the most important and natural resources of Africa. So thank you very much. So finally, again, please remember Marubeni. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yamamoto-san. Certainly, all the business from conventional Marubeni is very famous for the IPP. It's one of the very strongest IPP player But now it seems to be shifting to green DX, and the shareholder of some of the startups presented today, AIC and Russia, etc. Okay, so the presentation session is over. Now we would like to move to feedback session. So the next speaker would be Mr. Tomonori Tatsumi. He's a chief representative in Paris, in Japan Bank for International Cooperation, of course, JBIC, and he covers JBIC finance in Europe and Africa. And actually, he's been working very closely with us, African Development Bank. Actually, he was leading JBIC's finance for liquefied natural gas project in Mozambique, and concluded Africa's actually largest project finance. So it's up to, and the financial close is made 2020. So Tatsumi-san, thank you very much. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Kinoshita-san, for the introduction, and allow me to intervene after this remarkable series of presentations that we saw today. Well, it is pretty much difficult to comment on all the marvelous presentations, but I tried to summarize in 2 words. First, eye-opening. Eye-opening in that, I simply would like to videotape all the presentations and show to the junior bankers in Tokyo to learn how the development of the project in the African continent is doing at this very stage. And the second comment I would say, second thought I would say, is very much threatened, insecure, very much threatened in that if we just do not move, all the projects can be financed and covered by African Development Bank in the coming years, and we are left over. So very much, would like to learn more and collaborate with African Development Bank to be able to catch up all the trends that we are seeing right now in African continent. And I also would like to mention that we very much appreciate the sort of ambassadorial roles that Tsubaki-san has been doing for the past years, and Terakubo-san also for incubating all the startups and SMEs to do business in African continent. Without those, from a conventional banking sector perspective, it is, virtually impossible to do all these spectacular jobs for the past years. From a banking sector perspective, it is important to see that all the, foreign currency regulations are hedged, all the documentations are in place, environmental due diligences, human rights due diligences, social impact due diligences are made, offshore escrow structures, all these, currency hedging policies need to be in place. All these, the requirements that jump into a discussion, and it's a burden not only for the investors but also for the banking sector perspective. So now that all these funds are in place, and thanks to Shibusawa-san's efforts to establish a new Japan-flagged fund to focus on the growth stage of the African business, I would say that it is time for the banking sector to consider how we'll be able to collaborate with those funds. I can think of 5 examples. One example, the multi-layered approach, whereby the fund will be able to provide a mezzanine equity, whereby the banks will be able to provide long-term senior debt for a specific project. The second example is that we'll be able to consider phasing approach, where the fund will be able to capitalize the early and growth stage, and the banking sector will come later in the growth stage, where the collateralization of the assets and IPO policies are envisageable. And the third possible intervention from the banking sector is that we'll be able to help out Japanese corporations to acquire African active businesses in African regions by providing M&A finances for the Japanese investors. The fourth possible intervention is that we'll be able to finance for the projects in the host country directly to the host government, so that proceeds of those funds will be utilized to procure goods and services produced by those investors funded by the fund. And the fifth possible intervention from the banking sector, I would say, is that if the day-to-day funding requirements are very imminent, we can liaise with the supranational, regionally active African banks or commercial banks, Pan-African commercial banks, to set up a credit line to those institutions so that those loans are on-lended to individual projects for their capital and expenditure. So there are a variety of ways that we'll be able to corroborate further on with the fund and the project, and we're very much looking forward to those prosperous opportunities going forward with the African Development Bank. Thank you very much.
So Tatsumi-san, so based on your several comments, like mezzanine financing, phasing, and M&A, and was Pan-African, is it sort of any concrete or planning direction you are trying to?
What I mentioned is based on precedents. So we are a lot of precedents doing the same thing, and I think we'll be able to replicate in various different cases. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the give me one more. Of course, our ED, Takaaki Nomoto, Executive Director, representing Argentina, Austria, Brazil, Japan, and Saudi Arabia. So listening all this discussion today, ED, what is sort of your reaction, feedback? So thank you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I thank all of the audience, and I'm gonna say my thanks in my closing remarks. So I just go jump into my feedbacks, but this is not more about the kind of feedback, not only to the startup people, presentators as major companies, but more in general, also including to FDB. So firstly, I think this emerging activities by startup company is one of the major features of African development. So, and then I really see the very big potential role. Actually, they are already playing an important role. But say, if we think about the kind of government constraints, those kind of things, if we want to really achieve the full energy access or health coverage, those kind of startup companies will play a very crucial role, actually essential role. So that's actually why I think that we really need to recognize what they are doing, even as a development finance institution, and also big companies or also JBICs or bilateral institutions. Firstly, we really need to acknowledge what they are doing, also their potential to contribute to development. And then in that sense, actually, I'm really see a kind of positive that major companies already investing in those startup companies. So there's a kind of good example, and the Shibuya-san's fund, if they can really finance them more in a larger scale, that can be also really good. So, and then if JBIC and FDB also can collaborate with them to really help their startup companies, that can be good, because I recognize that the startup company, today I selected the kind of successful startup companies, and they are now doing the business by its own in a sustainable way. But if we really want to, at the same time, so if they really want to expand its business, not only equity, sometimes debt is needed, and the mezzanine can be also needed. So we also need to change our modality, particularly as development finance institution, like we honestly, historically, not that much good at helping those small companies. So we really need to think about what can be the good way. So that is one of the key takeaway from today's discussion. And the second about the role of large company. And then I think, so Marubeni Sumitomo is called Shosha. Shosha in English, it can be a trade and investment company, but I want to say that they are very unique. So we have actually 7 big, 7 big Shosha. And then today we have also Mitsui and Mitsubishi, and Toyota Tsusho is also there, and Itochu is there. And then one of the features is that they have a very big global coverage. And then they have a connection to not only to Japanese company, but say like companies in South America or Asia. So if Africa wants the kind of big change or big things, they can actually mobilize companies from the world. So that can be, I think, it's a very big role. Or I honestly cannot see those kind of companies in other countries. So that's why I think that Japan can contribute more to Africa if we collaborate more. So, and then if you think about the kind of nature of people, I honestly see that I really like the ambitious mind of African people. And in case of Japanese, we are more good to pin down those ambition into a very practical plan or those kind of things. So I can also see those kind of complementarity. So I really want to see that this kind of relationship or ecosystem among Japan and also with Japan and Africa can grow more. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Nobu-san. It's a sort of a complementary Africa and Japan, also collaboration with the big Japanese company and startups, because all the trading houses have sort of branches network. So the last speaker is, of course, VP Koeno. He's Vice President for Private Sector Infrastructure and Industrialization, and of course in African Development Banks. So the last question to VP Koeno is, of course, what is the reaction listening all these presentations and discussion? But more importantly, you visited Japan in April with the president. The question, actually I made a question, how Japanese people can boost the confidence by investing in Africa. But looking at all the startups first 2 sessions, and the confidence seems to be already there. Maybe I should change the question to how can you enhance the confidence is already there. So I think you're the perfect person. You've been in the business for a long time, knowing Japanese stakeholders and etc. So,
okay. No, thank you very much. Now. Edi Nomoto, called me about a year ago and said, let's go to South Africa to meet with some Japanese companies. And we went there, and it was mostly the bigger companies, okay? The risk appetite of the bigger companies is definitely a little more cautious, okay? And this was further amplified when I visited Japan, for the first time with President Adesina and Edi Nomoto. And at least the observation there is that the large Japanese companies that have been in Africa for a while, from a trading perspective, and also have invested in some projects, were very concerned about what I'll call political risk in all its dimensions, including the Forex risk, okay? So, very clearly, the way in which we can support or increase the confidence of the larger Japanese companies to invest. And we're seeing them invest, but, in minority positions, as an ETG, okay, as an Olam. I think the larger transaction was the group that bought Promasido. That was more of a controlled transaction. But what we've seen is more of a cautious approach, minority investment, partnering with an experienced African operator who knows how to operate, in the dimension of Africa, which is 54 countries with all its complexities. And then what, the Japanese companies bring is more, that focus on governance, the technical capability, and then hopefully it supports the broader trading business, in Africa as well. So, we're happy. I mean, so we've partnered with Sumitomo in Ambatovi. We've provided a loan, and I have to actually recognize Sumitomo as the kind of sponsor we want to work with, because during very difficult times, they really anteed up and supported the project, during really, very poor cycles. And for those of us who really, provide financing or provide equity into private sector projects, those are the kinds of sponsors we want. We don't want to go into special situations, restructuring debt, and then, maybe doing write-offs, et cetera. So I would say that's the bigger company. But the part that has surprised me is the startups. I mean, we have a youthful generation. So we've been focused really on how we provide and support youth entrepreneurship. So we have an innovation called the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank, which, I'll talk about in a second. But it was interesting to actually, in my trips with Edi Nomoto, to begin to see the interest of Japan in the venture capital side. And of course, when I met, Shibusawa's son, who says he wants to invest, an impact investment in Africa, I was a bit puzzled initially because I said, okay, why the interest? But I began to see that part of the interest was because, youthful Japanese entrepreneurs had actually come also to Africa to play in the startup phase. And please, we shouldn't underestimate the point about the decline in population in Japan, because it's also probably what's motivating, the big Japanese companies to now look at the B2C. Before it was B2B, but now it's B2C. So we're seeing that transition. I mean, so for me, the venture capital firms that we met, a lot of them also partner or compete, with African, African youth entrepreneurs, and we like that risk appetite, yeah, because over there, you have to assume that some companies will fail, right? But there will be some companies that will be a winner. And so the partnership with Ant Capital for us, is because we saw that genuine interest, in the early stage companies, growth phase, but still early stage. And so we said that, look, this actually marries well with the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank because we're willing to come in at an earlier point to take more risk. So anybody who's invested in private equity funds, in Africa would agree that one of the biggest challenges is really about exits. And so what I found interesting immediately was, first of all, for our Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Banks, there could be secondary sales to Ant Capital. But we also decided to co-create Ant Capital with, Shibusawa-san. Why? Because the Kezai Duyukai, I can see Alasan there. The Kezai Duyukai created also an additional exit opportunity, which is a big challenge really for our private equity funds. So for us, we've said that, look, we'll create the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank, we'll create Ant Capital, we'll partner. We can't predict all the issues that would really come along, but at least our partnership, I think gives greater assurance to Shibusawa-san to do Ant Capital. We're going to be a limited partner. Yes, Alasan? Raise your hand so we know who's responsible. Yes? We're going to be a limited partner. We're going to achieve this in the first close. And part of the value we've brought is not just really the funding, but we've spent time talking about, the venture capital and private equity landscape. We've introduced Ant Capital to, we are the biggest dedicated fund of funds in Africa as the African Development Bank. We're invested in 66 different private equity funds, total committed capital of about, $2 billion. So we've actually, with the permission of our various fund managers, where's Akira? Akira's just been traveling Africa, all over. In fact, you've been traveling Africa for the last year, right? So we've at least, done this. So this is how we actually increase or improve the confidence, and it's through partnerships. Now, for the bigger, companies that want to go into IPPs, et cetera, we're able to provide guarantees, whether it's a partial risk guarantee, especially, to counter government obligations, let's say on the PPA. So these are ways in which we can help resolve that political risk concern. And we as AFDB, as we go forward, it's not about really, extending our balance sheet, to the maximum, but it's really about using AAA-rated balance sheet and guarantees to find the best way to really support, FDI and also what I call RDI, which is regional direct investments as well. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, VP Queno. And you talk about, approaches for the small company and also bigger company. And I'm not in a position to summarize all these discussions, so this is Idinomoto's role to finalize all this. So I give a floor to, as the last speakers and to close this deal. So Idinomoto, it's up to you whether you want to sit and or you want to go over there. So please, thank you.
Yeah, actually, I was told that I should do the closing remark over there, but I think it's natural to do it here. So firstly, I really thank all the participants. Firstly, I really thank audience, including online one. And the main aim of this seminar or event is to really connect those kind of Japanese startups and major companies to African stakeholders. So your presence in this room and also online participant is a very core. So I really think about your participation. And then I also thank all the presenters who came from Japan to here, but many of them actually based in Africa. So, but anyway, I really thank about not only about the presentation, but the operation in Africa as a kind of executive director, one of the executive director at FDB. So I really think about it. And then I really thank President Adesina and President VP Queno and VP Bess and also Director Aware, also Director Solomon who did MC in the first session. And also all other FDP staff, particularly the Chinero and the AF team, and also I really thank Nao and Nihashi-san and Tokushige-san who's supporting the logistics on this seminar. So yes, and then actually, so Japan is phrases its kind of vision with Africa as grow with Africa. So in that sense, actually, as you can see, it's already happening. So startup companies are already, young entrepreneurs and investors are already in Africa, and they're doing its operation with a very strong commitment to the development of Africa. But I think they're doing that, partially because it's very just exciting. Japan also modernized after major restoration in 1868, and then we know that developing country is a very exciting and challenging job. So I think participating in this field is not only for purely Africa, but also it's really benefit not only economically, but also benefit Japan as a kind of energize Japan more. So I think this is really an important part. And then actually I'm also one of the optimists for Africa's growth. The reason is that I can see the very good similarity with Japanese mind and current African mind when we modernize. African people are very ambitious and own the problems by themselves. So in case of Japan, when we modernize, actually, for instance, farmers are investing by themselves to find the best way to grow the rice crops effectively. So and then the public institution formalizes these kind of efforts. So now I can see that African people are really investing by them, not only about the startups, but also private companies do the community development, or like they actively propose infrastructure development to the government. So I really like those kind of ownership about the country's issues and the social issues. And that's also why I think that Africa may grow in the end and successfully. So to participate in this very exciting job, if Japan can really involve not only those kind of startup company, but also big companies can really contribute to this exciting work, that can be really good. So, and then like other kind of business-wise, we really have to scrutinize each company's relationship. Also, like we really have to do a lot of follow-ups to really translate those kind of momentum into more specific project or those kind of things. But anyway, so like lastly, like I just really quote what President Adesina says. So like let's do it together. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Irinomoto. Yeah, I think please give a big round of applause to not just people on the stage, but also startups in the first and second session. So thank you very much. Yeah, and let's take a photo. I guess these are only 30, 40 people. So those who are on this, auditorium, please come to the stage and let's make photographs, all of us, and look at the time. It's exactly 7 o'clock. Yeah, the time management was fantastic. So thank you.